Morning, Steve.
Good morning.
How are you?
All right, thank you. And you?
Not too bad. Can't complain.
That's good.
I don't think it'll be on until about 1:45.
You're probably right, yeah.
Good morning,
Good morning.
Steve. I think
Good
that's you,
morning.
right?
Yes,
Harvey,
good
you
morning.
on?
Good morning. Morning, Ken.
Very
Doctor,
good.
you're going?
All right.
I'm trying to get out of the appointment.
You'll let either Mel
let you
or
know.
myself know by Sunday,
Sure.
okay? You're coming, Gabby?
Yeah, you have me down, right?
Okay, very good.
Right.
Hold the conversation down.
Yeah, they're making their arrangements for the seal.
Oh, good. Tell him to call the office.
What?
Tell him
Yeah,
to
you
call
can
the office.
speak to Mel or to Mordecai Burr. Mel Greenbaum, give him a call directly. Okay? Starting the learning sponsors. Sue and Arnie Gerlich in memory of Michael Proman and Philip Mann. Yisrael David Ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Beryl Ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Yosef Meir Ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch. And Yerivka Pro Rosner, Bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch, in a memory of family murdered in the Holocaust. Arav Tzvi Hirsch Ben Shlomo Yaakov, Sarah Bat Ephraim, Yisrael David Ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch. Ephraim Ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Adia Bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Miriam Bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch. Pesel Ben Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Shalom Ben Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Shlomo Yaakov Ben Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Shmuel Ben Harav Tzvi Hirsch. Cheryl Sure had children and grandchildren in memory of her uncle, founding member of BRS, Dr. Israel Brook, Yisrael Ben Harav Akiva. Marcia Federbush and family in memory of her husband, Dr. Ariel Paul Federbush, Ariel Pinchas Ben Harav Shimon. Sharon and Fred Liska, their family and many friends. In memory of her dear mom, Harriet Friedman, Elbas Yaakov. Leslie and Gail Kaplan, in memory of their parents, Harry and Marjorie Siddell, Irving and Pearl Kaplan. Friends of Avi Gitler, Avram Meir, Ben Shimon, and Martha Gitler, Charna Bat Yeshaya. Children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren of Toby Paris, Sarah Tova Bat Yisrael Dov in her memory. I gather Sid is not able to attend this morning.
He was walking out. He can receive for Dominic.
Yeah, he may have had a doctor's appointment or something. Friends of Joe Wolf, Yosef Ben Chaim, Charlie Gelfenstein, and Sam Levine in memory of Ramona Levine, Rachel Mata Bat Asher. I have a month of learning by Ron and Susan Podolsky in memory of his father, Tzvi Ben Pinchas, right? Phyllis and Chaim Reese in memory of her mother, Malka Bat Zev. And that is, today is the 7th, right?
Right.
So that is it. Shema's having a Leah, crank or feel about the Yeshua Shema's Leah. I hope in Israel a good Gaben.
Amen.
Amen.
All right. I hope everybody enjoyed the picture that went along with the notice that we're about to see you. If you didn't see it, you should you should look at it. Okay. In Israel, Kedem is the name of the largest egg producing farm in Israel. So what did they do in honor of finishing Gemara Beitza? They put out a special carton of eggs and mark the eggs also, marking the end of the siyum for the. Okay. So I had at least two people send me the picture. Okay, one was Ari Cohen.
It would have been cool if this egg was born on, this egg was born on Yom Tov.
Anyway, if you did not open your email from the show, it showed that it is worth.
I never opened my email from the show because it's always asking for money.
No, this one wasn't. It was just a reminder that the siyum is indicating to be Monday at 4:00 at Century Grill.
It was sent out yesterday
It
or
was
today?
sent out yesterday. It was sent out yesterday.
It has gone viral in Israel.
What? Yeah.
It's gone viral in Israel. Yes.
I'm sure I had
I
a
guess that
colleague that
was
retired
today.
that sent it to me, who lives in Israel now.
Just can't wait to see what they come up with Gemara neither.
Uh,
you take that thing back about Kabbai.
That will be sponsored by Kimberly Clark. No, that Gemara will be sponsored by Kimberly Clark.
The only problem, Yeah, the only problem with those eggs is that you can't break them on Shabbos.
Right, right. Okay. We are on Lamed Zion is today's Amud, right?
Right.
Where we finished on the top of the Amud, where we were saying that this gentleman does not fulfill really a mitzvah of being Mekadesh, of engagement, because he has already a wife and children. We then went on and continued, right? Lo chotzin v'lo miyabmin. We said that we don't perform chalitza or yibum. Vaha mitzvah ka'avi, but isn't that a mitzvah? Lo tzricha de'ika gado. So the first answer is no, because there's an older brother. Mitzvah begado liyabem, and the mitzvah is with the oldest to,
It
okay?
still blinds by way. He
Right.
doesn't. do it.
Okay, v'kulhu tamamai, and all of these, notice, in other words, a variety, kiddushin, chalitza, yibum, okay? So it's joining it together, right? Saying what's the reasoning, what? Gezerah shema yichtov, that lest somebody write. And that's where we stopped yesterday. So we're picking up then about 4 lines down on Lamed Zion, Amud Aleph, right? Ve'elu hein mishum mitzvah. So now we're saying before those others were reshut, because there was an aspect of mitzvah connected with them. Now we're defining it clearly
Oh,
as a chiyuv, right? So what happens? So let's go on. Lo makad makdishin, we don't consecrate. Velo ma'arichin, we don't make a vow, right? Velo machrimin, and we don't make a designation of something going to the Beis Hamikdash or to the Kohanim or things like that, particularly though to the Beis Hamikdash. What's the implication?
otherwise, unless otherwise.
Right, we'll
they-
get to it, right? Gezerah, right, Gezerah,
Better
right, but well, it's still part of the Beis Hamikdash, right? It
Yeah,
wasn't
but
just
it's
for the
not
avoda,
for-
right? So why specifically Bedek Habayis is important? Mishum Gezerah, Mishum Mekach Umemkach, because it looks too much like commerce. That's the implication. All right. Velo magbihin trumot umasrot. We get the next example from the Mishnah. We don't take trumos and masros. Is that all right? Okay, pshita, that's obvious. Tani Rabbi Yosef. So what does Rabbi Yosef say? Lo nitzracha ela litna the kohen bo bayom. Why? Because we might think he's going to be giving it to a kohen on that day. Bahani mili pere de tvile me etmo. But maybe we're talking about
No,
produce, right? We're talking about these were non-tithed items from the day before,
Which he should have done. even
which he
Rabbi
exactly he
Yehuda
should
would
have
be-
done at Erev Yom Tov, and therefore then they would then, if he was giving them to the Kohen on Yom Tov, nishkafelach. All right, so what happens? Aval pire de tvile ha'idna, but what about produce? That is tevel on the day of Yom Tov. Kagon Asa, like dough, la afrushe mine challah, okay, to be able to take challah from the dough, right?
Not free.
Okay, why let me think that that would be acceptable? Because we're saying maybe the woman is baking fresh challah on Yom Tov for Yom Tov, right? Mafrishinan vayahavinan lakohen.
Can
That
do it.
she can be mafrish, she can give it to a kohen. Bahani mishum rishut. Okay, so now the Gemara wants to clarify.
If a poor Kohen shows up at your door and knocks on the door, you can't give him,
You can give him food, you can't give
Give
him
him food, you
food.
just can't give him trumos and masra.
You could give him a whole bunch of food and then call him up tomorrow and say, I hope from Brevis, so my grandma was there."
Well, we'll see, that's gonna come up eventually. Vahani mishum rishut. Okay, and when those we said that were rishut, Ika, right, that there was, mishum shvut leka. Are we saying then that there is no issue of rabbinic prohibition of shvus along with them? Vahani mishum mitzvah, Ika. And those that we said had an aspect of a mitzvah with them. Mishum shvut leka, do we say there is no again, rabbinic prohibition with shvus with those. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak, lo mebaye kamar. Rabbi Yitzchak say, no, this is a literary form of lo mebaye. And this is how we need to understand it, right? Lo mebaye shvut gridasa. We don't say it's shvut. I'm going to use gridasa as in by itself or in and of itself.
It's a lower level.
Right? The asur, where that's forbidden. El afilu shvut, right? The rishus nami asur. But even a situation where there might be a smattering of mitzvah, it's optional, but there's a smattering of a mitzvah in it. Okay? You like that word, huh? Okay, and nami asur, that too is forbidden. V'lo mebaye shvus rishus ta'isur. And when we don't say it's not necessary to refer to shvus of a rishus, where it's forbidden, el afilu shvus de mitzvah, even if there is a clear understanding that there is an aspect of mitzvah in that regard, nami asur, there also it's forbidden. So we go on now back to our Mishnah. Kol elu biyom tov omru. All of these we said in regards to Yom Tov. Now, however, we start a new piece where we say urminhu, but we're going to raise a contradiction. Okay? In other words, we're going to try to make another say, aren't there other possible differences?
Yeah, kol elu means
Right.
these are all the same for both.
Okay? Aren't
Everything-
there other possible differences between Shabbos and Yom Tov? For example, we'll give our Mishnah. Meshilin derech aruba b'yom tov. We just said that one can lower the produce from the roof through the skylight on Yom Tov. Aval lo b'Shabbat. Okay, but it does not include Shabbat. In other words, it doesn't include that lowering, which seems to contradict what we've just saying. Because here, this would be another difference between Shabbos and Yom Tov. And we said,
but lowering the food on Yom Tov is ochel nefesh.
okay, hold on, jumping ahead, hold on. Okay, because our Mishnah initially, as a general rule at the end,
Correct.
said that only ochel nefesh was the difference between Shabbos and Yom Tov. Here now, you're giving another example. Is that, so we ask the question, does that seem to imply that lowering the food is ochel nefesh or machshirei ochel nefesh? Well, we don't know. Let's see. That's why we're learning the Gemara, right? So what happens, right? Okay, so because otherwise, ochel nefesh was what our Mishnah said was the only difference, right? Okay,
Yeah,
so
but maybe it's grave smoking, and it's
we'll
not
see.
gonna be
All right, so Amar Rav Yossi. So what does he say? Kash, lo kasha, not a problem, he says. Ha, Rabbi Eliezer. One is Rabbi Eliezer who doesn't include the lowering. Okay? Vaha, Rabbi Yoshua. And the other could be Rabbi
So Mishnah
Yoshua's
has two
view.
authors.
Right. Titania, as we're taught elsewhere in the following, Oto, Ve'et Beno, he and his son, Shenaflu Labor, if they fell into a,
Not he,
oh, no, I'm sorry, you're right, hold on. Okay, so we're talking about an animal,
A sheep and a lamb.
okay, a mother animal, okay, and the progeny of that animal, okay? That's what we're talking about, all right? And they both fell into a cistern. Rabbi Eliezer Omer Ma'alet Harishon, that it's permissible to bring up the first,
One of them.
Almanat l'shochto, in order to slaughter it, v'shochto, and you slaughter it, v'hashteni, and as far as the second animal still remaining in the cistern, oseh lo parnasa, you give sustenance to that animal, b'mkomo, in its place in the cistern, kadei shelo yamut, so it won't die, and then afterwards you can take it out. After the Shabbos, after the Yom Tov,
You
whatever.
have to send a mumcha
But that's
down
not what I'm
first.
saying.
What?
Doesn't.
Ah,
That's the issue.
that's the issue. Good question. Okay. Rabbi Yoshua Omer, what does he say? Omer ma'alet harishon al manat v'shochto. We bring up the first animal on the, let's call it on the assumption,
That he'll share.
okay, that he's going to shecht it. Ve'eno shochto, but he doesn't shecht it. V'chozer uma'arim uma'ale asheni. Then he goes back and he uses subterfuge. I'm going to use that word for the moment, okay, and brings up the second. Ratzah zeh shochet, if he wants this one, he slaughters this one. Ratzah zeh shochet, if he wants that one, he slaughters that one. Okay. Amar le Abai, umimai, and Abai says, what's the basis? Dilma ad kan, lo ka'amar Rabbi Eliezer hatam. Perhaps Rabbi Eliezer says Abai didn't say it there. Ela de efshar b'parnaseh. All right.
Only if it's able to.
All right. In other words, that he has the sustenance to maintain the animal in the pit. Okay. And therefore there is no financial loss because he can sustain the animal and take it out after Yom Tov. Right. Aval hacha. But in this case,
Of the roof.
okay, namely, we're up on the roof. All right. The lo efshar b'parnasah, where there is no situation of sustaining, and therefore he may suffer a financial loss. Well, inami, or also maybe the following. In other words, another explanation. This is actually going to be the third explanation to resolve the contradiction. Ad kan lo ka'amar Rabbi Yoshua. Maybe Rabbi Yoshua said his view there, hatam, in that case there, because it's possible to use, as I said, subterfuge. All right? Aval hacha. But in our case of lowering the produce, delo efshar la'arume, where it's not possible to use subterfuge, no, that's not the case. All right? Ela amar Rav Papa. So now we actually get a fourth explanation, really, to the contradiction. Lo kasha. There is no problem here. Ha Beit Shammai, ha Beit Hillel. One is the mission, one is the view of Beit Shammai, one is the view of Hillel. That's none. As we learned in our Mishnah. Beit Shammai Omrim. What did Beit Shammai say? Ein motzi'in lo et hakatan, v'lo et halulav, v'lo et sefer Torah l'reshut harabim. That we don't take out a minor child, carry him out, nor do we bring out our lulav, nor do we take out a sefer Torah into the public domain. Okay, on Yom Tov. Beit Hillel matirin. However, Beit Hillel permits. Dilma lohi, says the Gemara, perhaps that's not the case. Ad kan lo ka'amre Beit Shammai. Maybe Beit Shammai only made their statement there. Why? Hatam in that case there. Ela ahotza'ah. But regarding the issue of totally taking it out. Right? All right. Aval atiltu. But simply moving it low.
Lowering it down from the house,
Within
from
one
the roof to the
Right.
house.
That would not be an issue because one case you're carrying something from one rishus to another. In this case, if you're taking it from the roof through the skylight into the lower level of the same house, it's a single rishus. Atu tiltu lav tzorech hotza'ahu. But the Gemara says, wait a second. If you're saying moving it, isn't that basically a situation where you're going to be transferring it in some way? And couldn't that still result in change of domain?
I just wanted to comment that his question, it is not an issue of Tzal Ba'alei because we learned earlier, it doesn't bother re-establishing it here. You cannot take even the first animal out until a expert on external movement jumps in and says it doesn't have any rib cage or back break or broken limbs.
Okay.
If it's a treifa, you can't take it out.
At all.
So it's not an issue of Salva
Okay.
at all.
All right.
And the issue, they bring this as a raya that Tsar Balei Chai is only midrabanan because we have Tircha Yisera, which is the Rabbanan against Tsar Balei Chai. We vote not to inconvenience the human.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so that point basically tells us Rav Papa's explanation of Beit Shammai stands as the final case, as the final explanation to get away from the contradiction. Okay, all right, that finishes that item. Our new Mishnah, I will have to tell you at the outset, deals now with the issue of tchumen, all right, of boundaries. Okay, remember we said when we started this parak back the other day that there were two main themes. One was labors and the other was boundaries, tchumen. Okay, so that's what we're going to get to here. So this issue I found a little problematic, but let's go into it and we'll do the best we can. Habehema, okay, an animal, vahakelim, okay, and this is objects, utensils, right? Kiragle haba'alim, okay. I'm going to translate this a little loosely, if you don't mind. The area by which these items can move, okay, has the same enclosure definition for tchum as their owners, okay? So in other words, if I own a cow, all right, or a sheep or whatever, its tchum Shabbos is the same as what my tchum Shabbos as the owner.
As
but
or your jacket.
Right, but were I to, we're going to see the Gemara's Mishnah and Gemara is going to continue. What happens if I give this animal over to somebody else?
That depends.
We're going to see. All right. Hamoseh behemto libno, one who hands this animal over to his son.
On Yom Tov.
Okay. Or the roeh, or to a shepherd. Okay. And I'm going to add a couple things here. Number one, when does he give it over? Let's assume it's Yom Tov. Let's assume now the question is, are we talking about a situation where his son and the shepherd, in other words, he only is giving it over to one person?
Yes, singular.
Okay, singular. Or is his son also happened to be a shepherd and therefore we're talking over giving it to two people? Okay, we're going to see. This is going to come up in the Gemara. All right. So in other words, that's going to be a issue. Hare elu kiraglei haba'ali. So if you're giving it over to one of these individuals, his son or a shepherd on Yom Tov, the tchum of that animal is still the tchum of the original owner of the animal. And these individuals are, I'm going to call them caretakers.
If your son walks the dog, he can't take it to his tchum. He has to
Right.
stay.
Okay. Kelim hamiyuchadim le'echad min ha'achim. Let's assume we now have utensils. Okay. And these utensils were part of a Yerusha. And they were given over to brothers. Right?
That's
To
right.
one, and one of the brothers, but in particular, okay, because he was the one who maybe needs it as more than the other brother. All right. Miyuchadin le'echad min ha'achim shebabayit. Okay. Hare elu kivraglav. The tchum for that object, those utensils, are again according to the one, this brother who is the, let's call it
Possessor.
the possessor, right? The inheritor. V'she'en miyuchadim. But if these items, all these utensils, are shared by all the brothers in the same household, right? Right? She'en miyuchadim, they're not unique to him. Hare elu kimakom shaholchim. Their tchum is like that of that place. of that location. Next in our Mishnah, Hashoel klei michavero me'erev Yom Tov. If I borrow some pots from Ruvain, right, on before your day before Yom Tov, kiraglei hashoel, okay, they belong to the tchum of the borrower. B'Yom Tov, if I go to Marty's house on Yom Tov and I ask him for some pots, kiraglei
Marty
hamashir.
doesn't smoke pot.
Okay.
You asked him, you said I asked him.
Shut. Okay, so what happens then? Then the tchum belongs to the loaner. Okay, that's the point. And likewise, the woman who borrows from her neighbor spices, o mayim umelech, or water or salt, le'esata, to use that in her dough, hare elu beraglei kiraglei shtehen. Then they are belonging to the tchum of both women.
The overlap.
Okay, and we're going to see there's going to be an overlap there. Rabbi Yehuda poter b'mayim. Rabbi Yehuda exempts the issue of water, mipnei she'ein bahen mamash, because water has no real tangibility.
Disappears in the.
Okay, Gemara. What we learn in the Gemara, Matnitin, our Mishnah, coming back then to the beginning, the Loka Rabbi Dosa. It doesn't seem to be according to the authority or authorship of Rabbi Dosa. The Tanya is taught in the Braita. Rabbi Dosa says as follows. What does he say? Va'amre la Abba Shaul omer, and others say it was Abba Shaul said it. Halokeich behema mechavero me'erev Yom Tov, one who purchases an animal from his neighbor on your erev Yom Tov. Afal pi shelo masralo ela b'Yom Tov, even though he didn't actually hand the animal over to him right on Yom Tov. Hare hui kiraglei halokeach. We say then that according to this view, Rabbi Dosi's view, the tchum of the animal becomes that of the purchaser. V'hamoser behema leroeh. Okay, and likewise, Rabbi Dosa says, one who hands over an animal to a shepherd, afal pi shelo masrelo ela b'Yom Tov, even though he didn't handle the shepherd, give it to the shepherd, and maybe it's a Gentile shepherd, all right, on Yom Tov.
Doesn't have it. It's
Okay,
Jewish.
right, all right. Hare hi keraglei haroeh. Then it belongs to the tchum of the roeh. Okay, that's why I said if it's a Gentile shepherd, he doesn't have a tchum. If it's a Jewish shepherd, okay, it shifts from the tchum of the owner to the tchum of the Jewish shepherd. Okay, now, afilu tema Rabbi Dosa, says the Gemara. No, you might even say that our Mishnah could be according to Rabbi Dosa, below kasha, and not problematic. Why? Kan b'ro'eh echad, kan b'shnei ro'im. Here we're talking about one shepherd, or in another case, we could be talking about two shepherds. Daikanami. And this is exactly, we can deduce this. Why? Because of the language. The Katani. Because our Mishnah taught, Libno o the ro'eh. Okay? To the son or the shepherd. So we could say the or there might be shmamina, might be one or the other, or it could be that the son is also a shepherd, and we're talking about two shepherds.
No, you have to.
Okay? All right. So, in other words, the Braita would refer to one shepherd. Our Mishnah could refer to two shepherds. Okay? Let's say Shmamina. Now let's go on. Amar Rabba Bar Barchan. Amar Rabbi Yochanan. The name of Rabbi Yochanan, Halacha Rabbi Dosa. Okay? So that's the bottom line. Now, Umi Amar Rabbi Yochanan Hachi. But did Rabbi Yochanan really say that? V'ha'amar Rabbi Yochanan. But didn't Rabbi Yochanan actually say, halakha kistam Mishnah, that the law is like stam Mishnah, right? Utnan, and we learned, habehema v'hakelim kiraglei haba'alim, that the animal and the utensils follow the tchum parameter of the owners. V'lav okimna kan b'ro'eh achan. And didn't we establish this Mishnah based on the concept of a single shepherd?
Because we said "o" means or.
Or, exactly. Kan b'shnei ro'im. But here, we might say that maybe it could be possible to say that we're talking about two shepherds. All right? So that's the point there. Okay? Because or then does not necessarily mean one or the other. It could mean, okay,
One of the two. but
one of the, right. Okay. Tanu Rabbanan. Let's get to a new Braita. Shnayim shesha'alu. We have two people that are sharing, they borrowed the same robe. Okay? Chaluk echad b'shutafut. And they're going to share it. Why? Ze leilech bo shachrit lebeit hamidrash. One is going to wear it. Okay?
they're gonna-
They only have one raincoat between the two of them. All right, whatever it is. Okay, one's going to wear it to the base midrash in the morning. V'zeh likanes bo arvit lebeit hamishter. And the next one, the other one is going to wear it to a wedding dinner at night. Right? Zeh erev alav v'tzafon. But one made his erev for Tchum Shabbos to the north. V'zeh erev alav v'darom. And the other made his erev for Tchum Shabbos to the south.
Wow.
What happens? Zeh she'erev alav v'tzafon. This one who made his erev to the north. Mahalech l'tzafon kiraglei mi she'erev alav v'darom. He can only go as far, okay, as the one who made his tchum to the south. So in other words, it's overlapping.
He can only go the short overlap.
Right, it's an overlap. In other words, let's assume you have a tchum of 2,000, right? So one can go 1,000 one way, 1,000 one way.
Then they couldn't move it at
Right,
all. It
right.
has to sit in the middle.
Right. That's the next case. All right. Mahalech v'tzafon kiraglei mi she'erav l'darom. V'zeh she'erev alav l'darom. And the one who made his eruv to the south, right? Mahalech l'darom. He could go, right? The one who goes to the north, kiraglei mi she'erav alav l'tzafon. To that. He can only go as far south as far the one who made his eruv to the north go up north.
What do I have to mention both cases? Is the same, right?
Because of the overlap.
Because there's an overlap.
If your tchum is at that end of the table,
Right.
and his tchum is at, he makes his tchum.
We have a common area,
You have the small overlap of. the
right?
two
We have a
tchum.
common area, right?
That's all you can move it, is in the small area. You
Right.
can't take
Common
home
area,
outside of his.
right? But we have that common area, but then beyond it, you have another amount and I have another amount, but we can't move that garment outside.
So you're both all wet.
Okay? Right. All right. Misha Ravaton. V'imatz oetatchum. Right? And what happens? Harei lo yiziznena mimkoma. All right. And if the tchum changes, he can't move the
It
garment.
comes if the two tchumen
Come together.
merely touch
Then it's the garment has to remain
at the
Boom,
middle,
at the
right
middle,
touch.
and can't be moved either
Way.
the 2,000 one way or the 2,000
Because it becomes
272,
outside the other guy's.
other guy's
Page
tchum.
72 is the diagram.
Right. Right. I'm sure Art Scroll must have a diagram.
Yeah.
Koren has extensive diagrams also on this, both Gemaras. Right,
So then
show
you're
that.
all soaked.
Right? Itmar, and on this it was says as follows: Shnayim shilakhu chavit ubehema b'shutfut. If they took, excuse me, cask and a animal, all right, in joint ownership. Rav Amar, says Rav, Chavit Muteret, Ubehema Asura. The cask is permitted and the animal is forbidden. Ushmuel Amar, says Shmuel, Amar Chavit Nami Asura. Shmuel says that the cask is also forbidden. So the Gemara asks, Mai Kasavar Rav, where did Rav get his view? Ika Savar Yesh Breira. If Rav is of the opinion that there is Breira, retroactive designation, right? Afilu Behemat Ishtari, then even the animal should be permitted, right? Ve'ika Savar Ein Breira. And if Rav doesn't hold with Breira, retroactive designation, right? Afilu Chavit Nami Asura, then even the cask, right, should be forbidden. Le'olam kasavar yesh breira. No, we're going to say that Rav does maintain the concept of breira, retroactive designation, right? Ushniya behema dekayanke tchumim mehadade. Okay, and what happens here? And the other, okay, the animal is different to shniya behema. The animals were different. Why? Because one drives, the animal is all, you can't split the animal. It's one part of the animal is connected to the other part of the animal, and you can't divide it up. All right? Amrele, Rav Kahana v'Rav Aseh Rav. And so two of his colleagues say to Rav, L'isur muktzah lo chashashu. You're saying that for the prohibition of setting aside of muktzah, the rabbis weren't worried. L'isur tchumim chashashu. And but for the prohibition of tchumim, they were worried. After all, tchumim, remember, was a problem because some argued it was d'oraita, but others argued it was only d'Rabbanan. If that's the case, if you held that it was only d'Rabbanan, then that's less stringent than muktzah. Okay?
Chicken is muktzah.
Right. Shatik Rav. Rav didn't have an answer. My havala. So what's the end result? Asks the Gemara. Rabbi Yoshia Amar yesh breira. So Rabbi Yoshia, does that mean that Rav held breira? Rabbi Yochanan Amar. However, Rabbi Yochanan says ein breira, that Rabbi Yochanan did not hold from retroactive designation breira. V'savar Rabbi Yoshaya yesh breira. Does that mean that Rabbi Yoshaya did hold breira? V'hatnan. But aren't we taught elsewhere?
Rabbi Yoshaya held that Rav held.
Right, right, right. Well, so aren't we taught in another Mishnah? Hameit babayit. If there's a deceased corpse there, a body in the house, it's not a living corpse. Thanks. V'lo ptachim harbe. Okay, and it had multiple openings, doors and windows. Kulant me'im. They're all considered tamei. Niftach echad mehen. If one opens one of them, let's say one door out to the backyard, hu tamei v'kulan tahorim. Then that doorway is considered tamei because we're assuming that he'll schlep the mace out through that doorway, and the other windows, doorways are tahor. Chishev lahotzeo be'achad mehen. O b'chalon sheyesh bo arba'a al arba'a. If he thought, in other words, he had the intent, the chatchila, okay, to take that body out through that particular doorway. We're going to see in a moment that there's an issue about when did that intent have to be, okay? But right now it's saying,
We're trying to prove Ray.
okay? So here, what's the question? If his intent was to take it out through one doorway or one of the windows that's large enough, right? 4x4. Matzelet al ptachim kulan. All right. So he saves the other. What happens? Beit Shammai omrim v'hu shechishev alav ad shelo yamut hamei. So according to Beit Shammai, excuse me, he has to have had the intent before the individual died,
Because ain't brave.
right? Because he holds there's no
Right.
retroactive designation after the fact. Sorry, Ubeit Hillel Omrim, they say, Af Mishiyam Mutamed, even though he is deceased. Okay, so that would seem to raise the question, according to Rabbi Rabbi Hoshea, is there no brainer? Right? Ve'itmar Allah, and it was said about this, Amar Rabbi Hoshea, L'taher et haptachim mikan ulahaba, from here and further on. Mikan ulahaba in, from here and further on, yes, the mafreya lo, but backwards no. That then would seem to say that according to Rabbi Hoshea, ein brera.
The Rav says ain't brave.
Right. Now, epoch, let's flip it, says the Gemara. Rabbi Hoshea Omar, he says ein brera. Rabbi Yochanan Amar, yesh brera. And Rabbi Yochanan says there is brera, retroactive designation. Umi itle the Rabbi Yochanan brera. So we ask the same question: does Rabbi Yochanan really hold by brera? Va'amar Rav Asi Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Rav Asi says in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, ha'achin shalchuku, brothers that then divided up an inheritance. The kuchotein, they are considered like purchasers. Umachzirin zela zebi yovel, and they, when the yovel comes, right,
They have to give everything.
they
back
have to give
mommy.
everything back to the estate. Okay,
Well, if
that's
there's
the
a lot.
point. V'chi tamer, and if you want to say kilit le the Rabbi Yochanan breva, that according to this, maybe Rabbi Yochanan does not hold by breva, but the oraita, that may be only according to the Torah real. Aval b'de Rabbanan, but with regards to rabbinic issues, itle, maybe he does hold it. Ub'de Rabbanan, and right, and according to the rabbinical laws, mi itle, does he really hold it that? Vahatani and I'm sorry, Vahatani Ayo, but didn't Ayo, okay, teach the following? Rabbi Yehuda Omer, says Rabbi Yehuda, Ein Adam matne al shnei dvarim ke'echad. A person cannot make a condition on two different items at the same time. Ela im ba chacham lemizrach, but if a sage, if he's
This is what he wants.
spending the following Shabbos in a town and he hears that a scholar is coming to that town and the scholar is going to be in the east suburb, okay? Eruv Vola Mizrach. He must arrange his Eruv to go to the east suburb. Ula Ma'arav, but if he hears the scholar is supposed to be coming to West Boca and he wants to go there, what happens? Eruv Vola Ma'arav. He must arrange his Eruv to the west. Ve'ilu lakan v'lakan. Okay, but if it's
He doesn't know where he's
where
going.
the scholar is going to be, right? Low.
He can't do
He
anything.
can't do that. Vahavinin ba, just short little piece, and we discussed this. Ma'ishna lakanu lakandalo. So what's so unique about here and here that he can't do it? The ein brera, that we say that there is not
He
brera.
doesn't hold for break.
Okay. So therefore we
And
say
this is where Havina love means. We had this
it's
Gemara
discussion.
early.
We had
Right.
discussion.
Right. Mizrach Ma'arav, Nami Ein Brera. Okay, and then to the east and the west, therefore there is no Brera. So this would seem to indicate that Rabbi Yehuda rejects.
So you have to read one of them.
Right, and so we finish up. Va'amar Rabbi Yochanan, ukvar b'chacham, alma lit leila Rabbi Yochanan, Brera, ela le'olam. Right,
Yeah,
ela.
that's it.
Yeah, ela lit leila Rabbi Yochanan, Brera. So that this seems to imply that Rabbi Yochanan does not hold by Brera.
What happened was the Chacham showed up
Right,
He just didn't know.
he didn't know where the
So he
Chacham
made the
was.
two a Reuven, but it was not a either or. It was when I find out what already is in existence,
Yeah,
that my Erev will be for that. So the Chach, it's not Breira because the Chacham was there already.
uh-huh.
It's just that he was
He
ignorant.
wasn't aware of where he was. All right, gentlemen. Okay, we'll stop
So
there.
Tzeichem L'Shalom.
Thank you. Thank you. I've got,
All the
Sam-
best. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
so I will be away.